This game is played on the 26th of October 1971, and it is a game between Bobby Fischer and Petrosian. It is the candidate match, and Fischer actually won 3 times in a row already. And if he would win again, he would secure this game as a win, he would qualify. So the opening moves, quite straightforward, nice open position. Fischer likes that kind of play for sure. And now bishop takes c6, check. B takes c6, and the idea is that black gets some play on the b file. Castling, and well, it's actually very clear that white is a very nice and active position. Rook f to e1, h6, bishop h4, queen d7, rook e2, preparing to doubling the rooks, a5, gaining space, rook a to e1. Those rooks are very happy together there, and in this position, since we attacked the bishop, black chose not to defend it, which makes sense, but to move bishop to d8. Now Fischer plays b3, which makes also a total sense. The b2 pawn is a target, and moving it up 1, it's absolutely not for now. Rook b8 and knight to a4, kind of telegraphing where the knight wants to go. c5 file. Now it's actually a very nice move. Knight to e4 stops that threat. It has some control. If you move bishop g3, black's the option to take, and it blocks the rooks for now, so it's not a bad move at all. It's a discovered attack to the bishop, and for that reason, of course, Fischer trades the bishops. And after rook takes, we get queen to f4. Now queen d6, offering the trade of queens, and Fischer being a strong endgame player and I'm sure full of confidence from the games before, is happy to go into an endgame where in his perception nothing is happening that will give him the possibility to lose the game. As we can see, the rooks on e1 and e2 have strong control over the e file. Although a knight is blocking, we can kick that knight away by f3. You can also play c4, attacking the base pawn, attacking the pawn structure. So white is very, very good here. c4 is indeed played, and now knight to f6. This is actually interesting. A very easy mistake to make is to move your rook to e7, because what can go wrong, right? You have strong e file, you move your rook up to the 7th, the place where rooks want to be. But yeah, black now has the simple response. D takes c4, and after b takes, can just move for example, the f rook to e8. Now you have a skewer to e1 rook as well, so you cannot sidestep. And after the trade, well, let's look again at the position, and it's difficult to see where the advantage that white had has gone. So it's very, very easy to get rid of your advantage in endgames like this by just playing moves that look natural, but should not be. Fischer, of course, played the proper move, rook to c1, with the idea of after rook b8, we take, and now we have both our rooks on the open files. Yes, they can be challenged, but at the moment they are on the open files, which is good. The double pawn on the d file is effectively causing us to be 1 pawn up. The a and b pawn are only against the a pawn, so we clearly have the better pawn structure and the better endgame. f3, stopping the knight going to e4. Knight to h5, preparing to jump to f4 or g3 later. And now Fischer will allow that and just play a rook to c6, hitting the double pawn. Knight f4, white moves the rook to d2, preventing a knight to d3 jump, and of course defending the second the second rank. Rook f to e8, trying to create counterplay. Rook takes. There we have 1 pawn. So now we are not only effectively 1 pawn up, now we are literally 1 pawn up. Rook e1 check, king f2, rook h1. I think with the idea of playing rook h2, if the position stays the same, the next move potentially, or black can also support the knight first at c5 and then move rook to h2. If you play rook h2 also, if the knight is not defended, you can still take on g2 a check, because after king g3 the white rook on d2 will fall. So it would be a threat, but of course it's white to move. Fischer makes his king into a fighting piece and attacks the knight. Knight needs to go back, goes to h5 for check. Again, we hit the knight with our king, and now g6 defense. Munch, another pawn. Rook takes d5, and yeah, black is in serious trouble. Rook e8, rook takes a5, and this is just far too much already. 3 pawns up, connected pass pawns on a and b, and there's no clear compensation for black at all. Honestly, Fischer was cruising in this game, and it might well be because of the blows he has given to Petrosian before. That was really no clear opposition anymore for him, although there really never was. Knight c3, knight f4, king to g4 again, attacking the knight, and after knight to e6 we get the nice move rook to e5, hitting both the rook and the knight. After f5 check, king to g3, and after f4 check we have king h4, king a7, and now Fischer plays knight to e4. So in the previous position the black rook on e1 is effectively defending the knight on e6. Knight to e4 centralizes the knight, makes it into a very active and nice fighting piece, and causes for a direct threat of the knight on e6. Check, king to g4, and now knight to g7. Boom. Knight takes g5 check is, I would say, the final blow. White is up so many pawns, it can do almost everything, and Fischer now chooses to just trade the knight, and after trading of the rooks, king takes g5, and this is all far too much for black to handle. Petrosian, knowing this was going to be the last game, didn't want to resign just yet. Played knight to e6 check, king f5, rook to e2, small little joke. After rook takes we have the fork, and white also loses the rook, but it is very clear we have far too many pawns here. After a4 the pawns are going to become queens, and Petrosian had more than enough, making Fischer the first player ever, and I believe the last player ever, to win 4 games in a row in an official game against Petrosian. And as you all know, Fischer went on to eventually win the World Championship. I hope you enjoyed this game. It was played on this day that I'm uploading it, but in 1971, so 49 years ago to be exact. Today the US Championships have started, so I hope we will get as beautiful games as Fischer has given us, and perhaps a new Fischer will stand up from one of the young contestants. We shall see. Thank you for watching, and have a beautiful day. Bye bye.